Thank you.
Next question.
Thank you. The next question starts with you, Robin, and there's a second part we'll follow up with later. If elected to the council, would you work to overturn the density bonus ordinance since it doesn't protect R1 housing, their transit corridors, and how would you go about doing this?
Mm-hmm. You're referring to SB1818 with the density bonus? Yes. Okay. While I believe that Los Angeles suffers from an enormous amount lack of affordable housing for everyone in our community, and I'm sure everyone in this room agrees that no one wants to see homelessness and everybody wants to see housing for everyone. However, so the concept of SB 18 or the mission or the thought behind it may have been so that we could have more housing. It is absolutely the wrong type of legislation for our communities. Giving away density bonuses in exchange for perhaps and possibly some affordable housing is not going to achieve the hundreds and hundreds of housing units that we need. So for us to give away parking, for us to give away height, variances on everything in exchange for maybe 1 or 2 units is just not the way to do it. While I am a supporter of providing incentives so that people do invest in our community, this is not the type of incentive that I believe works best in West Side communities. The idea of thinking that somebody that is in a low economic paying job is going to be able to qualify for housing in the West Side and some of these units that are going to be built is just ridiculous. And I do not think this is the way we achieve more housing, and I do not think it's the right thing to do to give away density bonuses to people that are investing in the community. I think there are other incentives we can offer.
Okay, but Robin, you didn't answer the question. The question is, how would you do this?
Well,
How would you overturn the density bonus ordinance? What would you do as councilperson to overturn it?
okay. Yes, I would work with the Okay, I will work with the legislature who created this and with the city council to overturn it. Whatever methods or measures that are necessary once I get elected that we need to do, because I don't believe it works in our community.
Just keep passing. I think we need to keep going in order.
Okay.
As I mentioned in the last question, I think 1818 is a huge mistake for the city. The way that I would overturn this is using the 30 years of my experience as an executive in the private sector in terms of being able to negotiate deals and analyzing, solving problems, and being an advocate for people. And you know, the real question is not how would you do it, but how would you attempt to do it, because that's what you do. You have to attempt to do this, and the only way you're going to do it is to reach out to the other members of the council. I've spoken to a couple of members of the council about this. I've spoken briefly to the mayor about it. You know, I think it's a misguided plan for this city. I think maybe it works in Fresno or Sacramento. It doesn't work here. And I think that, again, the potential for abuse is just tremendous. So that's what I would do to try to get it overturned.
I'm not sure SB 1818 actually works anywhere in the state of California. It's a simple hijacking of the decision-making process of the local government. And what I mentioned at the interview, and I'm very concerned about, is that there's some hidden language in there that actually allows somebody to get a density bonus rate here in the 5th District and buy land somewhere else in the city. And so we're going to get the double proverbial shafting. I've had firsthand experience with this. I was the chair of land use for the West Side Neighborhood Council. We have a project on Olympic and Beverly Glen, 112 units, low rent because it's an old building in the 50s. They want to replace it with 156 units, and they're only going to have 8 low income. This was greed masked as a good deed. The developers had taken us at our city. They were now going to get us at the statewide level. How do you fight it? You got to check how Prop U matches against RAS 3.4 and SB 1818. I made the motion at our board to actually retain counsel to find if we can use Prop U, which we passed as voters, against RAS 3 and 4, passed by ordinance. Second of all, there's the basic hijacking of local decision. From my experience in law, and I'm sure Robert can attest to this, you can't do that. You can put public safety issues. You can do a lot of things. They may not be able to do this. So my attack would be use my office to stall, use my legal experience to fight, and on Prop U and SB 18 directly. Thank you.
Oh, Ron, I'm sorry.
Don't forget Ron.
That's what happens when you sit at the end of the table. On the Hillside Federation, which I've been a part of as a representative of the Crest Neighborhood Association, I actually helped craft a motion that came before the Hillside Federation related to looking into what can be done to, in fact, overturn the ordinance that is in Los Angeles, or to go to Sacramento and accomplish the same thing. The reality is, I think we can all agree that Los Angeles desperately needs more low and moderate income housing. Except this is not the way to do it. The fact of the matter is we've actually, in the process of tearing down a lot of older buildings in Los Angeles, removed a lot of low and moderate income housing units and replaced them with fewer. So that's not an effective methodology. This is really proof that one size does not fit all. What works in Fresno or in Sacramento or in even one part of Los Angeles is not going to work for another. And the overriding of local planning and the overriding of the years of negotiation between various neighborhood groups and the city of Los Angeles with something that comes from Sacramento is unacceptable. There are areas that are crying out for development in Los Angeles, and it's time that we find ways to encourage that development in the areas that really need it.
Well, I agree with Ty that this is actually a bill that doesn't work for anybody, and I think it was a scam to begin with. Unfortunately, Fran Pavley and I spotted this very late in the game, and so it was much too late to organize against it, although we both didn't support it. This is a problem that I think has potential for a lot of mischief, because there are buildings where you could have 150 affordable units, you tear it down, you wind up getting a handful of less affordable units in exchange, which is not anywhere close to being anything of value. It's more of a disaster in terms of affordable housing. But I think that was intended by the author and the supporters to begin with, to be honest with you. Now, Los Angeles could at least do something. We could make our regulations as tight as possible, which Zev Yaroslavsky was trying to do, and push the council, and with only modest success. There's still a lot we could do to tighten it up. I have the kind of relationship with the existing council where I think they could listen to me and I could push and we might make it happen. If not, the council member in the 5th is going to be the senior member of the council pretty soon. In a few years, there will be this one person that has the experience, and then 14 people who will turn over because of term limits. So I believe that I could provide the leadership that way, and the only person that has the relationships in Sacramento that could try to turn this around is also me. And I will push on both ends to make that happen.
Thank you.
I just want to go back to Ron, because Ron, you really didn't answer the question. What would you do to overturn the density bonus? You got 10 seconds.
Work with legislators in Sacramento and with officials of other cities who are equally unhappy with SB 1818. We've got to work with other cities because it is taking the power of cities away, and go to Sacramento in unison and say, we're not happy with this.